Welcome again. Today I'm going to share with you about the concept of interfacing in Java programming, right, or in object-oriented. My previous video we were talking about abstractions, right? But when I explain about this interface, I think some of you might be confused with the concept of abstraction. Yeah? So that's the reason why I have these two this table to explain to you the difference between interface and also the abstraction. So I have written two programs here, right? About the interface and as well as the abstraction or the abstract, how we're going to use interface and how are we going to use abstract. Okay, let's have a look at this interface. This interface, if you look at here, the difference between interface and abstract. Well, I'll go one by one, right? And then we start with the way we write. Yeah. Well, definitely, if you use interface, you have to use the word interface. This one is supposed to be a small letter. Yeah. And interface A. So any kind of, this is the name of the interface. It can be any name. It's up to you. And you can have more than one interfaces under one single file. Yeah, Java. All right. And for the abstract, you need to use the word abstract. So but abstract is a class, so you have to write this class and the name of the abstract class. Yeah, so this is how you write. And for the interface, you can have you can declare the variable, right? So as well as an abstract. So the difference between interface and abstract, for the interface, if you write the variable, you know, the default of this variable is public, static, and final. So even though that you didn't write public in front of this integer or static and final, so actually it will automatically set this variable, in this case I underscore a as the name of the variable. This will be automatically set as public, static, and also final. All right. While in abstraction, the moment you declare this variable, it will not automatically set as public or final. It can be public, static, or finals. Yeah, so you need to decide. So in this case, if this is automatically as final, so you cannot change the variable, you cannot change the value of the variable. But in abstract, yes, you can. Yeah, you can say use a method to change the value of this variable. So that's the difference between interface and also abstraction. All right. So in terms of method, right, the method in interface will automatically set as abstract. So you don't have to write the abstract. Yeah, it will automatically abstract. So that's the reason why if you write a class to implement that interface A, all right, so if you don't have that, if I compile this, I want to clear that, and if I compile this, we can compile this program, but if I remove this A, yeah, sorry, I have to clear that one first, then you when you, yes, if you look at here, C is not abstract and does not override abstract method in process A. So it is compulsory for you to have this method, even though that this is not an abstract, right? So it is compulsory for you to write or to override that, to have to implement that, to have the implementation like this one. You want to print it out, right? So that one is in interface. If you look at this abstract, you have to write this abstract, yeah, if you want to make it an abstract. So in this case, if you do not write that here, the implementation, because you are extending A. So in my previous video, if you want to use this abstract under this class C, you have to use the word extend, and then you extend this class A. All right, so in this case, if I remove this one first, then you can see that it will show the error because C is not an abstract, and meaning to say that you need to implement this A, yeah, because you have written that as an abstract. But if you remove this, because this is you have to put the abstract here because you are not implementing it. But what happens if, let's say, you implement that? I'll just copy this here. Yeah. Right. When I compile that, you see there is no error when I compile this, because in abstract you can have a concrete method, or you can put the implementation in that abstract class itself, whereas in interface you cannot. You cannot implement that unless if you use this default, but I'll explain that later. So in this case, even though that I did not use this, we extend A as an abstract, but because this is not an abstract, I didn't put abstract here. So when I compile this, right, there is no error because it is not compulsory for you to override this process A, because in abstract you can have either an abstract or just a concrete method, unless if you remove the implementation part. Okay, I remove that, and this will become an abstract because there is no implementation. Yeah, not like this one or like the previous one. So in this case, all right, if you compile differently, you need to put abstract here. Yeah, abstract here. So if you compile that, so it is compulsory for you to override or to create that process A in this class, because you are extending that, right? And then there is no error for that. Okay, so that is also another differences between interface and abstraction. All right, so again, when you look at here, right, so even though that you don't have the word abstract here, so if you use interface, this method will automatically set as abstract. Word abstraction, no, sorry, this is not an automatically an abstract. You have to manually put it here, you know. Okay, so I know that you probably have questions why I can put the implementation here. So in interface, you can have the implementations, but you must use, you can use this default, yeah, for this method. All right, so well, again, maybe your question would be, so what is the difference between interface and abstract? If well, besides this variable, which is, for the interface, it will be automatically set as P as F, but you also have this this kind of methods, the abstract method in abstract, and you can also implement the method like an abstract class in interface through this default. Yeah, so another differences between interface and abstract is this one. Yeah, that's why when we have two interfaces like this one, interface A and interface B, right, so this class C can implement more than one interface. So you can implement A and B. So in this case, it is actually support multiple inheritance. This one, multiple inheritance. All right, but for abstraction, even though that you have two classes of abstract like A and B, but you cannot extend like this B. You want to use A and B. Yeah, if you compile that, I will show the error. Okay, so you cannot extend the subclass with more than one superclass, like it doesn't support multiple inheritance for the abstract. So that's another difference differences between interface and abstract. All right, so I think let me check. Yeah, so yeah, in that case, I just hope that you understand what interface is. Well, it is just like an abstract, but this interface is even a little bit, I mean, it is even more strict compared to abstract, where you can only declare an abstract, except for these defaults. Yeah. So all the implementation, um, all the method need to be overwritten under the class that implement for that particular interfaces. All right. So like this one A and B, so you have to put this implementation under this subclass C, and these variable will automatically set as final, so you cannot create a construct. You cannot create an object differently for both interface and abstraction. Yeah? Both you cannot create an object. All right, so continue to explain to you on how we probably can use both abstract and interface. Probably you can understand better through this example. Yeah, all right. So as I explained before, that if you have a concept, where you have these general characteristic or general properties of an object, so you probably can just make it as general and put it under abstract class. For instance, animal. So what are the properties or characteristics of all the animals? For instance, for sure they have eyes and legs, well, except for snake. Well, just an example. So imagine that you have animal, and you have eyes and legs. So imagine that these two are compulsory for this animal, and other than that, this animal can fly, or some of them can run, and they probably eat different food. But we probably are going to talk about the same thing, like if we're talking about flying, how high they can fly, if they can run, so how speed that they can run, and the food as well. They can take, they can eat any food. So in that case, let's say animal A can fly, and also you can determine what kind of food that they eat. So, but this one is compulsory for that animal. So in that case, if you found that there are characteristics that can be shared only with a few group of in this case animal, so you can use that, take it out and make it as interface. The reason why, because abstract, you can only inherit once, as I mentioned before, but for the interface you can implement more than one. So in this case, all right, so class, when I have this subclass called chicken is an animal, so you inherit everything here, because all animals should have these. But chicken can fly, so and we can look into the type of food that this chicken is taking. Well, you can put this run as well. So you can create another subclass. Let's say I call it as tiger. This tiger is also an animal, but this tiger cannot fly. But chicken, like birds and any type of bird which can fly, so you can implement this. But in case of tiger, you can implement this run and also food. Yeah, so but in terms of abstract class, both are animals, so they should inherit, or they should implement this in abstract class. All right, so for the implement of interfaces, so it is depending on that animal. So this is actually how you can use and differentiate between abstract class and also interface. So I just want to give you an example here that this chicken extends animal, which is the abstract class, and implement this fly and food. Yeah, and this tiger is also extend the animals and implements run and food. So I write just a simple for the example purposes, which is create this to display this. Yeah, and when I create the object here, right, I create a chicken, a yellow chicken in Malay. It's a tiger, Malaya. Yeah, Malaya, harimau Malaya. So this chicken dot eyes, so it will do this, and there is Malaya speed, so it will go this one. Yeah, so when I run this, I just want to make that clear, and then you compile that, no error. Yes, then when you run this, right, chicken to eyes, chicken can fly up to 5 meters and tiger can run up to 65 kilometers. All right, guys, this is how we can use abstract class and also interface, right? So I think that's it for this video. If you have any questions, you can put your questions at the comments down below.